Let's incorporate the navigation into our CSS. I'm going to add a comment where I want the navigation styles to be, since they're going to be a little more substantial than some of the other ones. The first rule that we'll add for navigation is going to go on the nav tag, and I'm just going to specify a font weight of 700, so we'll make it a little thicker. We're going to set some padding on the bottom of 6 pixels, 0 all the way around, and I'm setting my font size to 1em, which is the equivalent of 16 pixels. Next, we'll make a rule for the nav li items. And here we're going to remove the bullets with a list style type of none. We're going to set the border of 1 pixel in white all the way around. We're setting padding. I'm using a background color, and the background color is just going to be a 30% white. And then I'm going to set the items to be block, text align center, setting a margin of 15 pixels all the way around, and we're using a text transform of uppercase to make the text display as uppercase. Let's add some styles for the A tags that are within the navigation. I'm going to set the background on the A tag to have a little arrow that I've created, and I'm going to have that not repeat and display on the right side. We'll set the text color to white, text decoration of none, and a display of block. And then on the nav A hover, we're going to set the hover color to a lime green. If we save now and we look in the browser, this is what our navigation currently looks like. I'm going to alter my margin so that the margin on the top and the bottom is 15, but I'm going to set it to 6 pixels on the right and the left. And I'm going to specify an overall width on the LI items to be 92.5%. This is just going to allow these links to fill this area a little bit more. And then finally I'm going to add a rule for the nav li hover, and we're just going to change the background color to being totally transparent. So we'll just set that to be totally transparent, and we'll set the border to go from white to a lime green color. So now when we hover over, the buttons are going to look like this. So that looks good. This is how we want our navigation to look. So the next item that we need to do is we need to add some sort of indication at the top of the page that the user will be able to click and then come down to the navigation that appears in the bottom. And this is a technique that's going to be similar to what we discussed in the navigation portion of our class, but there are some subtle differences that we'll be doing in this particular example. I'm going to go into my HTML, and I'm going to go down to where I have the navigation, and we'll be adding some new HTML that will serve as the trigger for our navigation. So I'm just going to add a new nav tag. This is going to have a class of mobile menu trigger, and then I'm going to specify an unordered list, and I'm giving this unordered list item a class name of menu. And this is going to link down to the ID of main menu, which is this right here. Now currently these two items are going to appear in the same area of the page. So here's our menu link, and then here's the actual links that are our menu. We'll use some CSS styles to make this look different and also to change its location to be at the top of the page. In our CSS, I'm going to add a new rule for the nav mobile menu trigger, which is the name that we assign to that particular nav tag. We're going to position this absolutely and set the values to top of 6 pixels and right of 18 pixels. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a rule for the mobile menu trigger li item, and we're going to set the width to 100%. We're going to set the display to inline block. We're setting margins all the way around of 5 pixels, padding of 0, and a text align of center. And the next rule that we're going to add is going to be on the mobile menu trigger A tag. And on that, we're going to specify that the background URL be this little icon that I've created, and this is an image sprite. So it has the little hamburger icon. It's going to be white and then green when you hover over. I'm going to tell this not to repeat, and I'm specifying a vertical and horizontal position value. The background color is going to be a very light shade of white. with 40% alpha. Text color is going to be white. I'm removing the underline, telling it to display as block, adding some additional padding to the left, and sizing the font size down to 90%. And then finally what we're going to do is add a rule for the hover state of this item, and I'm simply going to be using the same image sprite, but I'm offsetting the image so that the green lines will show up, and we're setting the text color to be green as well. If we save now and refresh in the browser, you can see up at the top I have my little menu icon and I have the hamburger lines right there, and if I click this it takes me down to the bottom portion of the page. So now this is functioning in the way that we would like it to. It's dropping down to the appropriate part of the page like we like. The only thing that I want to do is I'm going to move the menu link into the section area right here. In order to do that, I'm going to have to set a position of relative on the appropriate tag so that this can be positioned absolutely on the parent item. So back here, if we look in our HTML, you can see that this nav tag is actually a child of the section tag. So the section tag wraps around all of these elements. We're going to use the section tag, and we already have a rule for that. We're going to just set the position on the section tag to relative, and that in essence is going to be turning on positioning so that we can absolutely position the menu item. Now when I refresh, you can see that the menu is located where we'd like it to be, and if I click it, it's going to have the exact same functionality. So now we have a fully functioning footer navigation, and this will be a great solution for the small screen. In addition to that, I just want a white border around this image as well, so let me just make a quick style for that. Let's just piggyback on the selector that we already have for promo image, and I'm just going to add article image to this as well. That will allow the article images to also have the white border. And there we go. So that looks pretty good. Now obviously the text is not doing what we want at these mid-screen sizes, but remember we're doing our rules for mobile first. We'll address the mid-screen sizes in a future lecture.